The NBA trade season is upon us, and even though no major trade has happened yet for the Dallas Mavericks, there's a lot of rumors swirling around the league over which teams are buyers, which teams are sellers, who's going and who's staying. And on this channel last week, we went over how Jimmy Butler was linked to the Dallas Mavericks as a potential landing spot if he were to leave Miami. Well, the other day, the news broke out that the Dallas Mavericks are indeed a preferred landing spot for Jimmy Butler, one of 3 teams that he would like to go play for if he were to leave Miami. So in this video, we're going to take a look at all the news surrounding Jimmy Butler, the Dallas Mavericks, whether or not it's a good fit, and whether or not this is something that the Dallas Mavericks should even entertain. But how's it going, everybody? My name is Marcel Martin. This is Mavs Digest, bringing the latest news on everything Mavericks related. And before we get started on today's video, our last vid got over 400 likes. I appreciate it greatly. I really want to hit that 400 mark on every single video. So if you're enjoying everything that we're doing here at Mavericks Digest, the live streams, the watch-alongs, the news vids, and everything else in between, make sure you drop a like on this video, and I'd appreciate it greatly. But like I said on this channel just last week, we went over how Jimmy Butler was potentially linked to the Dallas Mavericks. NBA executives are always talking, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But there was some merit behind it, as Jimmy Butler is from Texas, specifically Houston. So if he didn't want to go play for Houston, if that wouldn't work out, the Dallas Mavericks obviously would be another possible destination. Unfortunately, San Antonio isn't in that mix because, I mean, the Dallas Mavericks are a much better organization, and I totally understand that. I mean, we've seen a lot of players come here who have played not mediocre basketball, but they really do play a much better brand of basketball for the Dallas Mavericks. We've seen that with Spencer Dinwiddie, where he played phenomenal for us. We had to trade him for Kyrie Irving, and Dinwiddie did bounce around. He went to the Lakers. It didn't work out. He did not play well for the team at all. And then he comes right back to the Dallas Mavericks, and he is playing amazing off the bench for us. We also saw with Kyrie Irving, where, yeah, he was balling out in Brooklyn, but he's playing even better brand of basketball for the Dallas Mavericks. And we saw over the summer how Klay Thompson left the organization that he won 4 championships for to come play for the Dallas Mavericks and potentially win a 5th championship. Obviously, the Dallas Mavericks are a team of prestige, and a lot of other players are starting to recognize that, hey, they got a good program over there. If I want to win, I could potentially win there. But if we take a look right here, the news that broke just the other day that Jimmy Butler is interested in playing for the Dallas Mavericks, according to Shams, saying the Heat are open to listening to offers for Butler and making a deal if the proposal is right. League sources told ESPN, and Butler's agent, Bernie Lee, has indicated in league circles that Butler is open to destinations such as 2 of the Texas teams, Houston Rockets and Dallas Mavericks, and the Golden State Warriors. Butler is a native of Houston, Texas. Above all, although he is believed to prefer a win now title contender in any trade. So, yeah, like I said, no San Antonio. I guess he doesn't want to go that far into Texas, but obviously Dallas and Houston. Houston has a lot of young talent. If the Miami Heat were to make a trade with Houston, they've got a lot of good young prospects that they could get back for Jimmy Butler. It is like a $48 million salary that you'd have to match, which would be very tough when you've got a lot of young guys that are still in their early contracts. They did just re-sign Jalen Green to a pretty big deal, so obviously they're not going to trade him. They're not going to trade one of the Thompson twins. You got Fred VanVleet. You got Alfred Sengun, but like I said, a lot of young talent with a few veterans as well that they probably don't want to move. But obviously, knowing that Jimmy would want to play for Houston, you got to kick the tires on it. You got to see what's out there. But for the Golden State Warriors, that seems to me more of a reality than anything else. Just the other day, the Golden State Warriors came out and said that they are desperately looking for another star to pair with Steph Curry. They're having a pretty good start to the season. They did go on like a 4 or 5 game losing streak. They did fall in the standings, but they obviously realize that they have a real chance of winning another title with Steph. So why not maximize that window? Why not try to find someone else to help you win right now? And the Golden State Warriors have a lot of assets. They've got a lot of young players in Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, even in Andrew Wiggins as part of a salary dump if they want to match salaries to get Jimmy Butler. And of course, they've got draft picks as well. But the Dallas Mavericks, it really isn't a reality for us. We kind of did all the moving that we need to do over the summer to fix our roster to get the players that we needed. Obviously, we couldn't re-sign Derrick Jones Jr., so we got Najee Marshall. We traded away Josh Green in order to get Klay Thompson. We had to trade away Tim Hardaway Jr. for Quentin Grimes. We did all the upgrading. We got all the pieces that we need. Would I like Jimmy Butler on this team? Of course. I think Jimmy Butler has the right mentality when it comes to basketball. He is a win-first type of guy that just wants to go out there and win. His intensity would definitely help with this team to just make sure everyone's being accountable and held accountable to their own standards and what they're supposed to do on a nightly basis. We saw Jimmy Butler go to the finals twice with a team full of role players and undrafted players. So putting that same type of player on the Mavericks, I'm all for it. But the reality is it just wouldn't work. Jimmy Butler is 35 years old, and although he's still a pretty decent player, it's just too expensive for that price tag. And then with all the additions that we've already made, it just wouldn't work. But if we take a look at Jimmy Butler and how he's doing this season, he's averaging 19 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 0.4 blocks, 1.2 steals, 1.4 turnovers, 1.2 fouls per game, while shooting 55% from the floor and 36% from three. That's not bad for maybe my third or fourth option, and especially on the Dallas Mavericks, because I've got Kyrie Irving, I've got Luka Doncic. That's my 1 and 2. And of course, we got Clay. When Clay is hot, Clay's hot. Obviously, PJ Washington has been playing very well. Najee Marshall has been playing very well prior to his sickness. Spencer Dinwiddie's been great off the bench. So I've got a lot of options. The Dallas Mavericks has a lot of options. So if Jimmy Butler were to come to the Dallas Mavericks, you're just coming in to help. You would probably be a little bit lower on the totem pole as far as where you are is for just leadership reasons and many other basketball reasons. Jimmy Butler wouldn't be that guy for the Dallas Mavericks, obviously, but it just wouldn't work for us. It's not a reality. It's not something that Mavericks fans should even think about. It's nice to know that Jimmy Butler wants to play for the Dallas Mavericks. It's just not going to happen. And if we take a look right here, like I said, in my other video, we went over this topic as well when the rumors were swirling around. And like I said, Jimmy Butler is a great player in a vacuum, but on paper for the Mavericks, 35 years old, he wants $100 million contract. It just doesn't work for the Dallas Mavericks. But this right here, I mean, a lot of people were talking about on Twitter, just like the Mavs blog, saying, would I like to see Butler as a Mav? Absolutely. Am I willing to pay the cost to acquire him? Probably not. And I think that's the resounding sentiment of a lot of people. Like I said, you like to hear that players want to come and play for Dallas. It just isn't really the right time. It isn't really the right player per se. It just doesn't work out. The stars don't align for Dallas. And just continuing, Kevin Gray had this to say, saying Jimmy Butler and the Mavericks rumors to me speak more to what the organization has become and how the perception of the franchise has changed as it's viewed now as a destination where stars can compete for championships. That's massive. And I think that's the biggest takeaway out of all of this. Obviously, people are going to talk about how, oh yeah, we should get Jimmy, or oh yeah, we should go and get this player and that player. We can go out and get anybody. I mean, Nico Harrison is an amazing GM who's done a wonderful, wonderful job ever since he came to the Dallas Mavericks. But we can't just go out and get any star that says they want to come to Dallas. We can't just go out there and get any player that's playing well. We have to find the right personnel to fit the right role for the right time period for this Dallas Mavericks team. And unfortunately, Jimmy Butler just doesn't fit that. If we were to make a trade for Jimmy Butler, you would just have to give up way too much. And a lot of people were going in the trade machine and trying to make it work, and you're not going to like what we have to show you. As it was shown right here, slightly biased threw this up on Twitter saying, if this is the trade that has to get Jimmy Butler, we definitely say no. Saying we would send Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, Maxi Kleber, Najee Marshall, Dwight Powell, and a second-round pick for Jimmy Butler, Alex Burks, and Thomas Bryant. That's a big fat no. That's a big roster swap. You make this trade, you're changing up the entire identity of your team and just the rotations. It's a big fat no. And how else is there another way that we could possibly get Jimmy Butler? Well, this right here. Shout out to TGK who put out this trade showing Jimmy Butler and Thomas Bryant for Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, Maxi Kleber, Najee Marshall, and Markieff Morris. Again, no, you don't want to trade 5 players just to get, I mean, yeah, you're getting Thomas Bryant, so it's a 5-4-2, but you're really doing it just to get Jimmy Butler and just to make the salaries match. It just doesn't work. The reality is, the only way that Jimmy Butler does become a Dallas Maverick is if he just ignores his player option, if he declines his player option, which is for $50 million, and then signs for the Dallas Mavericks in free agency for a lot less money. Obviously, Jimmy Butler wants to get paid. Obviously, Jimmy Butler wants to play for a contender. It just isn't with Dallas. He has a better odds of going to Houston. I think it would most likely be Golden State Warriors. I think they have a lot more to give in a trade situation. But one thing that I do find pretty interesting from the Miami Heat is this right here. The Miami Heat are not concerned about the possibility of losing Jimmy Butler in free agency. Nevertheless, a source with direct knowledge has said the Heat is not concerned about the possibility of losing Butler in free agency if it comes to that, partly because there's no contender with the cap space to sign Butler outright without the Heat's help in a sign and trade. If Butler simply signed elsewhere next summer without the Heat's help, Miami would have modest cap space, not nearly enough to replace him with a similar player. So yeah. If Miami does lose Jimmy, then they know Jimmy's probably going to sign a much lesser contract with a top contending team, knowing that these top contending teams probably can't just trade outright for Jimmy. So the Miami Heat's pretty confident they can keep Jimmy, that they don't think he's going to go anywhere. Meanwhile, a lot of people are just saying, hey, Jimmy, come play for us. But as a Dallas Mavericks, if I'm in charge, if I'm Nico Harrison, I trust the team that I've built. I trust what I have going on. All the hard work that I did over the last few years will amount to a championship. You just got to trust the process and trust what you have in front of you. But let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think we should trade for Jimmy Butler? Or are you like me where you're like, just keep the team? Don't make too many crazy trades. Maybe one small move here or there, but nothing crazy like going out and getting someone like Jimmy Butler. Let me know in the comment section. We can have a conversation about it. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for making this far to the video. Make sure to check out our Twitter and Discord. Links in the description below. Consider becoming a channel member. We are doing a giveaway every single month on this channel. The only way to enter our giveaways is become a channel member of any tier. But until next time, y'all take care. Drink water. Peace.